Once again, this is Rafael Barlow with the NBA Draft Junkies show, nothing but net channel on Dash Radio. And now we're getting down to the last division. It is the Pacific Division. And in my opinion, it's the toughest division in basketball. And let's start off with the Golden State Warriors. Now, unfortunately for Golden State, they found out on draft day that Klay Thompson was out for the year. It didn't have an impact on who they were selecting. They ended up taking James Wiseman at number 2, freshman center out of Memphis. Wiseman is an athletic freak. He's a rim protector, rim runner, vertical lob threat. He does have the potential to become a decent shooter. I don't know about the NBA three-point range right away, but maybe in his first couple years he should be able to space the floor. He's still somewhat raw. He only played 3 games of college basketball before he got shut down or suspended or whatever happened with the NCAA. I like the pick. To me, it was just somewhat of a no-brainer. It makes sense. He should be their starter from day one. I don't think he'll be in their closing lineups, but he should be able to come in and, again, like I said, run the floor, protect the rim a little bit, and just get some easy alley-oops and just some easy plays around the basket with Steph and Draymond as the creators for him. But overall, I like the pick. At number 48, Nico Mannion. If you would have told me a year ago that Nico Mannion will fall down to number 48, I would have thought you were crazy. I mean, his stock just totally plummeted by going to college. I mean, shoot, you can even say maybe the Steve Kerr connection to Arizona saved him from falling down even more. But he's a good playmaker. He was second in the Pac-10 in assists. He has some defensive concerns, and he just did not shoot the ball as well as myself and other people anticipated. That was one of his greatest strengths. Coming into his freshman year, he was known as a shooter, and just the percentages weren't there. Yeah, he just shot the ball a lot worse than what people expected. I still think that he should be able to carve out a nice role in the NBA as a backup point guard. Again, he's a really high IQ guy, and I don't know about his ability to create separation on his shots at the NBA level, but I think Golden State is a really, really good fit for him simply because he doesn't have to come in and start. He can learn from Steph. They have an offense that fits his skill set, so I think this was a good pick for them, especially at number 48. Again, nobody anticipated Nico falling to 48. To be honest with you, if he would have played in Italy and averaged 10 minutes a game on an Italian second division team, he would not have fell to 48. So going to college was an absolute mistake for him as far as like on the basketball side. Then at number 51, they selected Justin Jessup, shooting guard out of Boise State. He's a shooter. That's what he does best. Shoot the ball. Shot over 40% from 3 in his college career. And Golden State, they're not going to be able to replace Klay. And I don't even know if at number 51 he cracks the rotation, but they're looking for a shooter. And this is what he does. So overall, I'm going to give Golden State a B+. Next up is the Los Angeles Clippers. And what a crazy summer/fall has been for the Clippers. This was a team that was a lot of people's favorite to go to the NBA Finals, even win the championship. They ended up blowing a 3-1 lead to Denver. And I knew changes were going to come after that. I just knew they weren't going to run it back with the same roster, even though I felt like they should have ran it back in a sense. But I just knew too much damage was done. Doc Rivers was fired. They brought in Tyronn Lewis, the coach. And then as far as free agency, Montrezl Harrell, what are you thinking? Like, I get you want to win a championship. I totally get it. But 2 years, $19 million? That to me, that just makes no sense, especially for a player that's only 26 years old. You haven't had a big payday yet. You weren't a first-round pick. You haven't, finished your second contract yet. And on your second contract, you give a team discount to the Lakers. Sounds like some rich Paul cooking. I mean, if I'm a Lakers fan, I'm pleased because you got a guy who was projected to get maybe anywhere from 60 to 80 million for $19 million. I know it's a short deal. It just doesn't make any sense to me, not even as an agent, unless I'm an agent that has interest in a team and I have a bunch of players on the team and I'm trying to help my best client win another championship. Again, it just doesn't make any sense for me. I thought bringing in Serge Ibaka was an upgrade and a better replacement, especially for the same price. But again, I went on a tangent there. But the Clippers got Daniel Oturu. He was the 33rd pick. He's a guy that on paper, he looks awesome. He looks like a top 5 pick on paper. Oturu adds size to a team that was lacking size. And he's still raw. His game is not pretty. And it's not pretty at all, but he could add some rim protection behind Zubac, Ibaka, and possibly Noah if he comes back. So I thought overall that was a pretty good pick there. At number 55, they took a swing for the fences, and that's, I guess, the key word for me in today's episode, on Jay Scrubb, a junior college product. He was a big-time scorer in the JUCO ranks. He committed to Louisville, but chose to go to the NBA instead. In my opinion, he's more so of a long-term project to develop in the G League. He's actually really young for his class. He's only 20 years old, and he has a great upside as a scorer and a shooter. Shot over 46% from 3 as a freshman, but then his percentage dropped as a sophomore, still at the junior college. But he's an athletic wing with the physical tools to be a good defender, and he does have some ability to create his own shot. So I like to pick there. Not someone that I imagine will crack their rotation and earn a lot of time as a rookie, but like I said, a good long-term project. So I'm going to give the Clippers, I give them a B. I like what they did there as far as adding size. And Oturu, again, if you look at his numbers, he is very productive. His game is just not visually pleasing. And then another thing I forgot to mention is he shot 36% from 3. So I like the Oturu pick. And so I think that, maybe in year 2 he could possibly even be their starting center. Just puts on a little bit of weight, and like I said, his game isn't visually pleasing, and that could be a reason why he failed at number 33. But overall, I'll give the Clippers a B. The Los Angeles Lakers, sorry, I went on my tangent about the Lakers. You didn't have a draft pick. You traded number 28 and ended up getting Dennis Schroeder, Marc Gasol, and Montrezl Harrell. Like, who needs a draft pick when basically you lose Rondo, Dwight Howard, and Danny Green, but on paper you get better. Now, the game is not played on paper. It's obviously played on the floor, but the Lakers got a whole lot better, especially when you give up your draft pick and you get an 18-point-per-game scorer to come off the bench. So the Lakers had a phenomenal offseason despite not having a draft pick. So I'm going to give the Lakers an A. I'll give them an incomplete. But the next team up is the Phoenix Suns at number 10. I thought this was one of the most interesting picks in this draft. Jalen Smith. I'm a big Jalen Smith guy. I thought he should have at least went at number 13, but I thought I was high on him. Obviously, Phoenix was higher. The question is, can he play with Ayton? It may seem like a reach, but one of the things that he does is he adds value as a shooter and a rim protector. It's not easy to find guys that can play the 5 or the 4, space the floor, but also rebound and block shots. So he has a unique skill set, and I think that he starts the season as their backup center, which to me is kind of weird that you would draft a backup center for, arguably I shouldn't say arguably. He is one of their cornerstones. I was going to say arguably your second best player, but I think immediately that's going to be Chris Paul. But, yeah, I just think it's strange that you select a backup center in the lottery at number 10 unless they believe that Jalen Smith eventually could become a 4 and he can play with DeAndre. I don't know. But, again, interesting. However, I'm going to give the Phoenix Suns – man, this is tough because I wanted them to select a point guard. I thought like Halliburton or Kyrie Lewis or even like a Cole Anthony would have been a good fit, but they addressed that need with Chris Paul. I still think they probably should have drafted a point guard here as a backup to learn from Chris Paul, because I can't imagine Chris Paul is going to be there 3 more years, or eventually he's probably going to slow down. So I would have groomed a point guard here. So I'm going to give the Phoenix Suns a D. Even though I like Jalen Smith, I'm going to give him a D. All right, last but not least, it is the Sacramento Kings, and I thought Sacramento had a good draft. At number 12, they got Tyrese Halliburton. If you've been listening to my podcast or any of my shows in the past, I wasn't as high on Halliburton as others. You know, the whole rumor about him moving up into the top 4, top 5, and all these teams loved him. I just didn't believe it. And there were 2 guys that on draft day you kept hearing about are moving up, and it was Halliburton and Patrick Williams. Williams obviously moved up to number 4. Halliburton slid down to number 12, which I thought was good for him. Good fit for the Kings. He gives them another ball handler, another ball mover, and a shooter, especially with Bogdanovich gone. Not saying he's going to be able to replace Bogdan, but I think that he should at least give them another shooter to replace him. He shot over 40% from 3 in his 2 years at Iowa State. And again, I just think this is a good fit because he doesn't have to be the engine. He doesn't have to be the franchise point guard, which a lot of people expect if you take a point guard in the lottery. He'll just have to come in and complement the guys they already have. De'Aaron Fox is their guy. They just signed him to a 5-year deal worth over $160 million, so he'll be there. I know they're expecting big things out of Bagley. And Halliburton is just a high IQ player that can be a backup point guard, or he can start at the 2, and he'll knock down open shots. I'd like to see him bulk up, get stronger. And one of the reasons I didn't think that he was an engine is because he just does not get to the free throw line. And I don't think he'll be able to do much out of pick and rolls. As far as me, if I'm a general manager or a coach, I want my point guard, especially my starting point guard, to be able to attack and get downhill and make plays out of pick and roll, which is something Halliburton doesn't do. But again, I think this is a good fit for him. And then at number 41, they got Jahmi'us Ramsey, who I think this was a good pick here. He provides wing depth. They lost Bogdanovich, and Ramsey shot over 43% from 3. I think he has the potential to be this athletic, switchy wing defender because he has the physical tools. And one thing that he does that you can't teach is that he plays hard and he plays with a motor. I think that he should be able to come in and provide some minutes and crack the rotation as a rookie. I don't think that he'll spend a lot of time in the G League, even though he was a second-round pick. But I like this pick overall for Sacramento. I think that you can't replace Bogdan with one guy, but I think they added some depth at guard, and they solidified, like I said, De'Aaron Fox. They solidified his role with the team long-term, so I like this. I'm going to give the Sacramento Kings a B. Can you believe that? The Sacramento Kings have drafted well. Whew. So that's it, man. I'm finally done with the 2020 draft class. It's over. Longest draft class in history. I mean, it's almost like it's well over a year that I have been working on this class. I'm over with it. 2021, man, I got big things coming. I don't want to spoil it yet, but there's going to be a lot of just upgrades to like my website. As far as like the podcast, I should have more guests. Even the overall look of the site is going to change some more. I have some videos for 2021 prospects. I already got locked and loaded in the chamber, but I wanted to keep my promise and finish all the draft grades for the West Coast or for the Western Conference. So again, thank you for all my new subscribers and new followers, everybody that have been tuning in and checking out what I had to offer for 2020. Again, I'm promising 21 will be better. Once again, it's Rafael Barlow, the NBA Draft Junkies Show, Nothing But Net Channel - Radio, and I am out.